one hit line drive.
Want to lose weight?
I can.
Okay, let's rock and roll, my friends. Our first speaker is a young lady that I was introduced to at one of our events. Her mom came up to me, and I remember it was lunch. We were breaking for lunch. I'm kind of running around like crazy, and your mom tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "Hey, my daughter wanted to say something to you." And I didn't think to look down. I was just like, okay, yeah, what? I was in a hurry, and I look over, and there you were. So I think you were 8 years old. And I looked down. I was like, well, what are you doing here? As an 8-year-old attending the event, and it just getting to know your story, having shared stages with you, watching you put things together to go reach your goal of reaching, a million kids has been a blessing. But ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite 10-year-olds, Miss Neva Lee Recla. Neva, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm pumped to have you.
Yeah.
I am super pumped to have you. Let me do this really quick because I think I'm going to get the feedback from you. All right. Okay, so Neva.
Yes.
You do a lot of things. You do a lot of things really well. You got your first business cards at age 2. I can't even find my business cards. I'm 45. You've written a book, a best-selling book. You've spoken at, I don't know how, countless conferences. You've done things with Bob Proctor. You have a radio show, a very successful podcast called Superpower Kids. It doesn't seem like there's a lot that you don't do. For people that don't know you, tell people a little bit about yourself. Who's Neva?
Yeah, so like you said, I got my first business cards at the age of 2. From there, I've done probably around 6 or 7 businesses. I have a podcast, and that network gets over 2 million downloads monthly. And my book is called When Pigs Fly, The Parent's Guide to Inspire Your Young Entrepreneur. And that is the only book written by a 7, 8, and 9-year-olds. Same person. So that's a little bit about me. And then also, like you said, I speak different places and stuff. So I'm all over the place. It's kind of fun.
Starting at 2 years old, right? Adults adults have a hard time getting things started. Where does this come from, right? If you're starting so young, where do you attribute this drive to want to create and produce things?
Yeah, so where I attribute it is mostly all the business conferences I attend, because it's really unusual to have a little 2-year-old walking around a business conference, or even an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old. So the places that have welcomed me, and where I first got my business cards was at CEO Space. And I saw everybody else had business cards. I was like, oh, what are those? And I didn't see why I couldn't have them. And so that was kind of cool. And that I've pretty much grown up there and in that amazing environment. So it's been really cool. And all the places that have supported me have made it a lot easier to be creative in it.
Most kids want to watch maybe television. They want to play with their toys. They want to be with their siblings. Where do you feel, or let me ask you this way, do you feel that you grew up or you feel different about creating things, like businesses and things that you do? Do you feel like you're wired a little bit different, or what do you think? What do you think makes you different than maybe just playing with my Barbies or doing what maybe kids would traditionally do?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. So it reminds me, some people ask me if I miss out on my childhood because I'm in business so much. Um, but behind the scenes, I'm doing a lot of stuff like that. I paint, I draw, I write, I sing, I create songs, I do a lot of things. Um, but I would say yes, I am wired a little bit differently. My typical conversations sometimes consist of like what's going to happen next in my business or how I'm working for some place or something like that. And there's actually sometimes where I'm talking with kids and I'll bring up my podcast and I kind of forget that they don't really know what that is. And then I have to explain it to them when it's been a part of me for so long that I'm like confused as to why they don't understand what I'm saying. And so there's some moments where I'm like, oh, yeah, I forget. My childhood has been a little bit different, but on some level, I think I've had even more of it because I'm in business.
Let's talk about your podcast for a minute.
Yeah.
When did that start? So how many years have you been doing your show?
3.5 years going on 4 this year.
What made you want to start it? And like, tell people about your podcast, people that don't know what it is. I've been on the show. It's awesome. You've guys had some amazing people on it. So tell me about it. So what's your show about?
Yeah, so my show is, how I explain it mostly is I take what adults do and I turn that into how kids can do that. Or because I'm all about like starting things at a really young age. So I take what the adult is doing and I turn it into a learning lesson or a really awesome opportunity for a kid. And then how I started it was, so 3.5 years ago when the network was getting started, Superpower Experts, I saw that my mom had a podcast and I decided that would be fun. I want to do a podcast too. And I want to be a part of the network. And my mom goes, but Neva, I don't want to coach kids. And I go, you want to be the one coaching them. I would be the one doing it. And then after a couple months of strategy and stuff, I got my podcast up. And my first 2 shows were JP Sears, who's like the ultra spiritual person ever, and a woman who's a free diver. And so that's where I first got started. It was pretty cool.
Who's been your favorite guest?
That's a trick question. Definitely you. You're one of my favorite guests. But then I've also had the original Wonder Woman on, Kathy Lee Crosby, who I've been friends with for a while. I interviewed Sean Stevenson, who was really fun. Like I said, JP Sears. I did an oracle reading for JP Sears on my podcast. Joe Polish. There was times where we both went off screen to like go get another costume. I ran back to my bedroom and like my earphones were just like hanging and all you heard was like them banging up against things because I was so excited. And I also interviewed Bernie Dorman, who was the founder of CEO Space, and we talked all about collaboration because that's what CEO Space is all about. And we talked all about like how kids can collaborate and stuff. So that was a really cool conversation as well.
I have 9 kids. You talk to a ton of kids. You have a big reach.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think when you look at the state as to where just things are, right? We're in this weird space, this coronavirus space, right? Mm-hmm. There's no going back. There's a new normal. What kind of opportunities do you see for kids in general? Like what kind of conversations or opportunities do you think that are out there for our kids?
Yeah, so also a lot of, like you said, a lot of stuff has changed. And so most kids are homeschooled now. Well, we're on summer break and stuff, but they were being homeschooled. And so like all my cousins go to school and stuff, and they said that most of their schools have been canceled for the rest of the year. Nothing changed for me because I've been homeschooled for a really long time. So I think that the opportunity is they're able to see like what's possible outside of school or outside of in-person things. So right now we're on Facebook, we're live on Facebook. We're not in the same place at all. And so like all those cool opportunities that they can learn from and seeing like, oh, not everything has to be in person. and you can get a really cool reach that way.
Leveraging technology more.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it. I like it. Let me ask you about homeschooling. What do you, because I love the idea of it, right? I think it's the, do you feel like you missed the social aspect of it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I did go to school for a little bit, so I got a little taste of it. It wasn't my favorite thing ever. I was actually the one who asked to be homeschooled. Like, I lasted, I think, a day and a half in my second school. So I literally went to two schools. And the first one didn't really enjoy, and then the second one didn't really enjoy, and I lasted a day and a half there. And then I decided I want to be homeschooled. And so I do get the social aspect in different areas. Um, and so I think it's actually on some level I get more social for some reason because like since I'm not wait how it works is I don't have school hours. So it's like I'm also my own teacher. So the work I get assigned or the work I assign to myself depends on how long it takes for me to do it. So if someone texts me or something, someone wants to go hang out, I just work faster. I don't have to wait till my school's out. So that's kind of cool.
So growing up, I started skateboarding, right? So I'm 45. Skateboarding when I was 13, 11, 12, 13 it wasn't like the X Games. It wasn't like what it is now. I was different. I didn't play sports, so I was looked at different, wore different clothes, wore different hair, had a mohawk, had purple hair, listened to music that wasn't what everybody was listening to on the radio. And I was ostracized a lot by being different. I moved around, went to a bunch of different schools, and I think it was very, very helpful for me as an adult because it allowed me the skill set to adapt, right? Being put in any scenario, any situation with any group of people, being able to quickly adapt. Because when you're a kid and you're going to a lot of, you're bouncing around a lot, you have to. You're making new friends like kind of all the time. And with your parents being in the military, I know, they've moved around. The kind of the apex of this being different, right? Having ideas, being creative, and not being what the stereotypical kid looks like. Do you feel, what word of advice or maybe what words of encouragement would you give another young woman who's 10 years old, who's trying to figure it out, who maybe is a little bit different? Maybe she's not in the entrepreneur space, but she doesn't like to do what everybody else does. She wants to do something different. By doing things different, we're looked at a little bit different. What would you say to that person? What kind of encouragement could you give to somebody that maybe isn't inside that mold?
Yeah, I would say the biggest part of it is self-love, because if you love yourself, then it's easier for everybody else to love you. And also realizing that when people judge you, most of the time that they're being judged or you don't know what's going on in the other side. And so the times where I've been judged, most of the time there's something else going on and I just happen to be caught in the middle. And so I think also it's like having that self-love and also being creative in it, because if you find like how you can still connect with other people, you just do it a little bit differently. You kind of got to find like your sync is kind of how I consider it. And then it's a lot easier to move around.
People have good parents. People have parents that are involved. Some people have parents that aren't involved and you don't see them ever. They're busy working, being parents, or they're just not invested. One thing that has always impressed me about our relationship is it's been a family relationship, right? My relationship is with you. I love you as a human being, but I love you as a unit as well, with your mom and your dad. I think your parents are awesome. How instrumental have your parents been on encouraging the things that you're doing, maybe opening up new doors, or even kind of pointing you in a direction?
Yeah, they're part of the reason why I do it all. Because so when I was really little, they made an agreement that if something had to do with business or pretty much anything, I had to be involved. So that's part of the reason why I've been involved in business a lot, is because I was going with them. And so I think that part of the reason why I am doing what I am doing today is because they've been so involved. And so it's like we consider ourselves a 24/7 family. We're a three income family. We work together. And I think that's kind of a huge part of it is like we're doing a lot of things together. And so it's like the teamwork in it. So being a part of the team. So, yes.
I love that approach. I love that approach. What's your superpower?
One of my superpowers is chameleon ability. So I used to call it gecko ability. But chameleon ability is pretty much I can shift my energy into different places. So as an example, you're pretty energetic. So I can match your energy. But if I'm talking to someone who's not as energetic as you are, I can match their energy. Or if I'm at a business conference with a lot of people, I can go more than like I can go here and here and here and here at the same time. So I can kind of make it so I'm pretty much everywhere in some level.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Adaptability.
Yep.
How do you overcome maybe the stereotype of being young and like when you're going to these conferences like adults, right? Most people you deal with are adults, probably not kids, or at some point there's like a lot of adults involved. How do you get past that stereotype that like, hey, I'm just a kid?
Yeah, I think that something that I experienced as a young entrepreneur is sometimes you got to work a little harder to get adults to understand you because like we kind of speak two different languages. And so because I can speak fluent kid, I can also speak, I'm not very fluent in it, but I can speak adult as well. And so I think it's the different communication as well. So matching the energies. Um And that reminds me, I did an interview with someone and we talked about girl power and about like equality and stuff and how sometimes you got to work a little harder because I'm a girl. I'm also 10, I'm young. And so, in a lot of places, sometimes I'm not the normal. And so, I think it's like also treating others how you want to be treated is a huge part of it, is like treat others with the kindness and respect that you want. And then sometimes you get it back. And I follow the Burning Man principles. So in Burning Man, if you give someone something, you don't expect them to give you something back.
Hold on,
And so, like,
Burning Man. Do you hear that?
yeah,
She said Burning Man, the Burning Man principles. So those of you who don't understand, yes, a 10-year-old is schooling you on Burning Man. Sorry, keep on.
yes. And so I follow those principles where I treat others with kindness and respect all the time. Or I try to, at least. I'm not perfect. But then sometimes I'll get it back. And sometimes I have to work a little bit harder. One of our really good friends who I met at CEO Space, she saw me running around when I was 2, and we didn't really connect at first. And now we're great friends. I help her take care of cats all the time. She fosters kittens. So I go over to her house and help her foster kittens and things like that. And so I think it's also like realizing treat others with that respect that you want and treat yourself with that respect that you want and show others that you're willing to like work for it as well. Like show that you're willing to put the effort into it.
You speak fluent, kid.
Stick fluent kid.
Where do you think the disconnect is today with adults and parents and their children? Like, where's that disconnect?
I think a huge part of it is like how the parents have been raised and how they grew up and all that. I think it's like when they're doing that the same way, it's like the same cycle. And also I think it's that typical parent kid dynamic or adult kid dynamic where like the kids and adults aren't equal. And so like as a kid you follow no matter what any adult says, you follow it and all that. But then I think it's like the kid has to kind of go up to be an equal and the adult has to kind of come down to be an equal. And then it's like we can meet. And that reminds me of sometimes I've had adults tell me, like random adults that I don't even know, tell me what to do. And it's like one time I was at a restaurant with my cousins and my grandparents, and I accidentally slammed the stall door behind me, and this woman who was leaving the bathroom yells at me for slamming the stall door when I didn't mean to. And sometimes I've had to coach my friends. They're like, that random adult on the street doesn't really hold any power over you, unless like they actually have some sort of power in the actual world. They can't really do anything to you. And so like realizing that we got to meet in the middle, and I think where the disconnect is happening is we're not meeting in the middle and we're going apart.
We're not speaking the same language.
Yep, it's true.
We're not speaking the same language. Pigs. Let's talk about some pigs.
Yes.
Let's talk about your book. The same, what did you say, 7, 8, or 9, 8, 9, and 10-year-olds wrote the same book first time ever?
7, 8, 9-year-old, and then it came out when I was 10. Tell
me about the book.
Yeah.
Tell me about the book.
Yeah, so the book is a parent's guide to inspire your young entrepreneur. So it gives parents tips and tricks on like, if you're bringing your kid to a business conference, what do you expect? What do you tell them? And then there's little areas like I would kind of call them like little bubbles for kids. So for example, know when to sit quietly at a business conference and know when it's time to sing and dance. Because like especially when I was younger, I didn't really understand that. And so it was like, well, why aren't we singing and dancing all the time? Why are we sitting down quietly now? And when I go to sing and dance, people don't like it. And so like the different tips and tricks on how you can understand the different like kind of things that people may say as a hint that we're going to start calming down now, or we're going to start getting more excited now. And then for the parents on how to explain it to your kids on like, hey, this person's going to speak. You may want to take some notes or sit quietly and watch. And then it's like helping with the communication in the business conference world, because in the business conference world, like I said earlier, it's not really common for kids to be involved. And so like showing the kids how they can start working as equals, and showing the parents how they can start almost training their kids to be equals.
I like it. One of the things I took away from it is it's that language. It's the speaking the language. So if your kid shows entrepreneurial tendencies and they want to do something, they want to build something. A lot of times if the parent's not wired that way, the kids, like, they're not going to know how to help them.
Yeah.
So what I found from it was it's that language. It's the translator. Yeah. If you have a child who wants to do something and create and build something, we can use the buzzword entrepreneur, right? I think we're problem solvers. We're looking for problems to solve. And sometimes those generate revenue, sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day, we're trying to help somebody solve something. Yeah. And it allows the parents to understand how to have those conversations if their kid shows those kind of tendencies to want to get into something like that. Mm-hmm. We have a very lofty goal. I want to help you get there. We have a very lofty goal to achieve something very special. The name of your book and a pig. Tell me about this. Tell me about the name of your book and how it ties in. And tell me about this pig.
Okay, so actually part of the reason I wanted a pig is because of Liz Benny at Meltdown in the Desert. And we were sitting down. She was asking me questions, and this is in my book. So if you want to go get my book, it's in there. It's like one of the first things you'll read. And she was like, well, what do you want? And I said, and I was like, I'm not sure. She's like, and then she started talking to me about my goals and stuff. I said, you know what? I want a pig. And then the agreement with my parents is that I have to make $1 million, and then I can get whatever the heck pet I want. I've had people tell me that pigs aren't $1 million. I know that. But the goal is to make $1 million. So then it's like my parents have no say over it. I can't like get a cat or anything, but I can get like a pig or something, or a monkey, whatever. And so part of the reason my book is called When Pigs Fly is mostly because also as a kid, you believe pretty much anything is possible. I think adults should believe that too. Sometimes you stop believing that, but also turning it around, like pigs are gonna fly someday. It's gonna happen. And also, because I want a pig, it makes it really cool. So,
What's the name of your pig gonna be?
Hamlet Chicharrones Recla.
Say it again, slower.
Hamlet Chicharrones Recla.
Chicharrones, Hamlet,
That's like pigskin.
Chicharrones, Recla, the third Esquire, Bacon.
Yep. Yep. And when it has kids, they'll be named things like bacon or
Pork
things
chop,
like that. Yeah, pork chop.
pork chop.
Yeah. I was so scared. I changed my diet, so I'm a pescatarian. And so I was so scared because I used to love.
Isn't that a religion? Oh, Presbyterian. A pescatarian. Explain that.
So it's vegetarian, but I eat fish. So it's like anything at a sushi restaurant I eat, unless it's like, so anything that comes from the sea, I eat pretty much. So I was so scared though, because I loved bacon. And I was so scared, like, how was I going to explain to my pig that I was eating one of its long lost relatives? So now that problem is solved.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What's important to you right now? What are you working on? What should people be?
Yeah.
You know, where can I draw some attention for you? What are you doing?
Yeah. So is it okay if I promote myself for a little bit? Okay, awesome. So one of my other goals that does not have to do with getting a pig is inspiring 1 million kids to do business. So I launched something awesome, which is, so if you have kids, it's called a Superpower Kids Club. So you could go to superpowerkidsclub.com. And what that is it's a club for parents and kids. So you can learn how to embrace your superpowers as a family. And it gives your kids success tips. And it gives you like how to speak kid, how to speak adult. And it's a really cool thing. And I think, and also it's all virtual. So I think that that's something really cool. And it's kind of like what we're doing right now. So maybe in the future we'll start doing meetings or something like that. And then also I'm doing my podcast. So if you ever want to come on my show, reach out to me. Reach out to me on Instagram. It's just my name. And so reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. And then also, if you go to superpowerkids.com, you can see my book, as well as I do oracle readings, like I was talking about how I did an oracle reading for JP Sears. And that is called Kid Clarity, and it's clarity without a C and with a K instead. And that's pretty cool. So if you want to have an awesome conversation and get some cool insights, you can also do that.
I love it. You have time for a costume change? You have a costume?
I don't have one near me, but I could go get one.
Go grab one. Go grab one. We gotta bring in the Neva show.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I'm in a warehouse. I'm trying to figure out if I can find something to like. I'll find something. I'll find something. Those of you who are watching the stream, you're just gonna have to bear with the shenanigans because this is what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna go find a costume. So bear with me.
I'm gonna go get a costume.
Go get a costume.
Okay, I'll be right back. Oh wow, I beat him. Did he go to get a costume? Yeah, he did.
You beat me. You beat me.
I beat you.
We have a cape and a dog.
And a dog.
Who's the dog?
This is Callie. We named her after the goddess of destruction. But it's funny because she has no teeth and she's 7 pounds.
She has no teeth. What happened to her teeth?
She had something called pancreatitis, so she had to get all of her teeth removed.
I don't know what I would do without having any teeth. All right, so here's my costume. I'm in a warehouse, a flashlight warehouse. Here's my costume. Oh, here you go. Hold please. That's a bird nest. So I'll put the bird nest as a hat, clip it into my hair, and then I have a light. I don't know what it is. Shining light for all those that need a place to nest or rest their heads. That's my costume. I don't. There's like gloves and saws and guns. I don't know. I just didn't know what to get. I was so nervous. I'm growing my hair out. I cut it all off. I'm growing it back out. So
that's cool. Don't
mind the fluff. Neva, I am so honored to have had you on today.
Me too.
You know, when I remember when we had, it was one of my favorite conversations, and I'd never said it out loud until we talked about it. Mm-hmm. And it was, I got asked to speak at the DECA conference in Phoenix.
Yes.
As the keynote, and they were kind of going back and forth the speakers, and we got put together, right? Yes. And I got to open. You get to be the headliner, and I got to open. And I remember before either of us went on, and this room, for people to put it into perspective, I think there were 4,000 or 5,000 people, like in that space, in the conference center. So speaking in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people, in its own has its own level of kind of excitement and nervousness, let alone when you're 8 years old and you're going to be the headliner, like you're going on to like smash it. And I remember you and I sitting out in the hallway in the chair. And do you remember the conversation that we had?
A little bit, very vaguely.
So you said, hey, how do you get over the nerves? Like, how do you get over the nerves of like doing this and like going on stage, especially with this many people? Like, how do you get over the nerves of it? Yeah. And I remember I started speaking publicly when I was 13, right? So not as young as you, but I started younger. And I don't remember ever not being comfortable going on stage.
Yeah.
What the nerves are, it's excitement. So what we find nervous also lives, it's just a level of excitement, those butterflies of like, it's not, am I going to be successful at whatever it is I'm doing? It's actually, I'm really excited to be up there. Yeah. And it's being able to tell yourself that. It's discerning that same energy source and saying, hey, like, I'm not nervous. Like, I'm excited. Like, I'm excited for whatever it is, right? I mean, I'm excited for this opportunity or this moment. And then I remember I'd never said it out loud, right? Understand, just recognizing it's the same thing. Yeah, being afraid and being excited are kind of the same thing. And harnessing that. And then we went up on stage, and I remember just that entire moment, you know, the end of your presentation and, you know, a standing ovation from 4,000 or 5,000 people, and, you know, kind of absorbing and taking that all in. I've always been extremely impressed with who you are. I'm honored to call you family. I love you. I appreciate who you are and how you show up like every day and the difference that you're trying to make.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And also, I'm just going to say you did an awesome presentation for me. Also, I think that's really cool because no one knew how old I was. Everybody thought I was an adult. And
yeah, we didn't tell anybody. It was a secret. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. We kept it. I specifically, it was kind of part of when they booked me. It was like, you couldn't know how old you were.
Yeah.
Right. Because we wanted people to, we didn't want people to know. We didn't want people to have an impression either way. I remember that. And then I called your name out and you came out on stage. I have like video footage of it. And I get on my knees and give you a big hug. That was the first time people saw you. They had no clue that the main speaker coming on was 8 years old. Yeah, that was really cool. That was like super cool.
Yeah. It was also super cool because my a lot of the people there actually attended the same school, the same high school my sister did. So, and there was a picture of her, there was a video of her and I, and everybody recognized her. And so a bunch of people realized, like, oh my gosh, you're her little sister. I was like, yeah, I am.
Awesome.
So that was also really cool.
That is awesome.
That
Hey,
was super
before we
fun.
close up, where's mom and dad? Are they like within an earshot or eye shot? Can you see your parents? Either of them?
They are, but they just woke up.
They just woke up. They don't
They
want to
just
be on
woke
the
up.
screen. They just woke up. Okay.
No, but they say hi and they say they love you very much.
Okay. Awesome. Neva, our time together is over just on today's presentation. Again, where can people find you?
Yes, you can go to superpowerkids.com, and that is, you can either select if you're a parent or you're an adult and you want to have a super awesome time as a kid. Again, go to Superpower Kids Club. There's a little option on that website to select Superpower Kids Club. Sign up to learn how to embrace your superpowers as a family. Check out my podcast, Superpower Kids, and that's pretty awesome as well. And then also, if you want an oracle reading, go to Kid Clarity, the Kid Clarity section on my website. And then also check out my Instagram page. If you want to follow me or have a cool conversation, I interviewed someone a little while back who I met via Instagram just because he reached out, and he lives in Dubai. So that's super cool. We can have an awesome conversation and connect.
I appreciate you. Have an amazing afternoon. We're going to keep rocking. Tell your parents I said hello. Let's talk later next week, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Thank
And
you for
good luck to everyone who's speaking.
You rock. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Neva Lee. How awesome is that lady? I absolutely love her.